I'm Lester Holt.
Howdy, Holtheads. Kurt Money here, alongside my co-host,
Kateline.
And we're here to talk about a brand new Dateline, although it sounds like a repeat 10 times over because it's called Deadly Obsession.
This is just getting worse.
Yeah. So I counted them. This is the 5th one this season.
The 5th Deadly.
And they had Deadly Omission, also an AC app. Deadly Omission, Deadly Obsession. I just come on, y'all. What do you think?
Is AC the one naming them? I don't think so. I think it's the producers.
Oh yeah, I'm not putting that on AC. But I just wish they put a little bit more thought into it.
Too obvious. We know someone's dead.
Yeah, and actually, if an episode isn't deadly, we're kind of bummed. we need a murderer in here.
We need a body. That's terrible.
Yeah.
This is wrong.
All right, well, here's the IMDb, and then I'll get your thoughts. A Kansas couple was found dead by their parents before a family fish fry in 2002. A years-long search for evidence and 3 criminal trials over 2 decades reveal strained dynamics within one victim's family. Hosted by our girl AC. What'd you think of this app, Kateline? Did you like this episode?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I thought it was...
Too much trial?
It was too much trial. You know me. Too much trial. And it's because they only had really one suspect. There were other suspects that they could have explored more, and I have some thoughts about that. And I don't get why they didn't. I think the person who went to prison for this absolutely did it. But come on, give us some more to work with here.
There were a few, there were 2 people that were introduced and discarded in the same sentence. Mm-hmm. But I'm not mad at him for that. And I was thinking about this because I liked this episode a lot. I'm not sitting here saying it's classic Dateline and stuff, but I'm more forgiving about trial stuff when the stuff that happens in the trial is so funny. The trial stuff was cracking me up. Okay, so I'm kind of excited for that reason.
That's fair.
Hang on, it's a little chilly in here. I think I need to grab my puffy coat. Can I stop the proceedings real quick to throw on my puffy coat?
Are you doing a bit?
That's a tease. I'm doing a great bit about the trial. You trying to tell me you don't remember the puffy coat?
I do.
Our story begins July 7th, 2002. The parents of Karen Harkness and Mike Sisco show up to their house for a little 4th of July fish fry. They knock on the door, no answer. So they'll go around back, and they see that the back door is slightly ajar, so they just walk on in. And here's a sign that, there's other signs through the app, that this family parties. What do they do before anything, Kate, when they walk in that house?
Crack open some beers.
They literally take out white wine in the fridge. The people that live at the house aren't even there yet, and they're like, well, off to the fridge. I loved it.
Took a bottle of wine out of the fridge and made themselves comfortable.
Sadly, it was not going to be a fun fish fry because Karen's dad goes down to the basement and finds 2 dead bodies. And we heard a little 911 call action. What'd you think of this 911?
I was annoyed with the dispatcher.
Really?
I just feel like dispatchers are too annoyed.
Too annoyed?
It's always 911, what's your emergency?
Yeah.
And the person on the other end is making maybe the worst phone call of their entire life. And you're like, 911, what's your emergency?
Right.
I don't like it. Maybe it's because they get so many calls and a lot of them are hang-ups or butt dials or things that aren't emergencies and they're just pre-annoyed to be dealing with that. But I don't like it.
You think they should have better decorum? It should be part of the practice of this is your 100th call in an hour, but put a good face on because who knows, you might end up on Dateline. Mm-hmm. I'd be telling that to people at the meetings in the morning. I'd say, you could straight up be on Dateline, so don't be a dick because Kateline will be coming for you.
Totally.
You know what? Here's one thing I feel bad for 911 ops. I think part of their spiel should be, and maybe they do say this, they need to make it clear that they've already pushed the button to send people their way.
Yes.
Okay? That button has already been pushed.
Yeah, because the person calling is always like, I don't know, can you just send somebody? You're asking me these questions, I don't know.
Yeah.
This person is dying, and I think I'd be good at it.
Really? You think you could do it? I feel like what I would want to do if I was the 911 op, when they say just send somebody here, I go, okay, I got a question for you. Do you think I'm the one coming to save you? Because I'm not.
Right.
Professionals are en route. I'm going to still do my job, though.
Uh-huh.
I got to give a shout out to this dad, though. He sounded chill AF.
He sounded chill. He was like, well, we're at my daughter's house, and...
She's dead.
Well, she's dead.
Yeah.
We just got to our daughter's house. She's downstairs and she's dead.
So both of them are dead. Cops show up, and this is where we meet Detective Volley. Detective Volley.
Lead Detective Richard Voley.
He's the main detective on this case, and he shows up and is like, I thought it was going to be a murder-suicide. Wasn't that kind of weird? He was like, 2 dead people in this neighborhood. It wasn't a robbery or a murder. It was a murder-suicide. Done and done.
It was a quiet, safe neighborhood, and I guess when he does find people who are dead, this is usually the case. It's a murder-suicide or just a suicide, and he was pretty certain of it. But then, when they started taking a closer look at the injuries, you could tell that there's no way that Mike could have killed Karen and then killed himself because of his injuries. They were too crazy.
Like, he had been shot off the bed and then took the sheet with him and then shot through the sheet. So, like, clearly this dude was unleashed upon. And then I love that AC really drives it home and she's like, well, how'd you know it wasn't murder-suicide? And the Detective Volley goes, well, I mean, there was no gun.
Great point, man. No gun.
Yeah, there's no gun next to the dead bodies. You're right, this was not a suicide. They start calling family members, including Mike's daughter, Haley, who's a big part of this ep and kind of plays into the investigation. She sits with AC. What'd you think of Haley?
I liked Haley. Now, look, I don't want to come for your girl, but she was doing kind of a Murph dog thing.
What?
She wasn't letting Haley really finish her sentences.
Okay, that happened twice.
You noticed it.
Of course I did. It happened.
You noticed it.
There was tape all around the property.
What a shock to the system.
Yeah.
What are you
I mean,
thinking?
I honestly didn't even think.
You know what? Maybe she's just trying to get the convo going, and maybe they're not giving her anything. Did you ever think about that?
Haley seemed like she was giving her plenty.
I knew you were going to say something about that. What's funny is... What's up? What's up?
You knew.
Look.
You knew I was going to say it.
I did, because also I found this episode on YouTube, and the comments were littered with people saying that. And I was mad.
Which... you can tell they didn't finish the episode, because if that's what sticks out in your mind as the thing to comment on, it's only in the beginning. Yeah. It's like the first 10 minutes.
And everybody is like journalism experts, these people.
Sure.
They love talking about how, like, you can't do that, you can't involve yourself in the story, and it gives a slanted opinion. It's like, stop. You're commenting on a bootleg rip of a Dateline ep, and I did hop in the comments for one, because this one idiot said, of all the 48 hours correspondence, she's the worst. I said, this is Dateline. AC rolls. Enter. Send.
Were you commenting as our account or as you?
Of course. No, I commented as I'm Lester Holt.
Okay.
I want that action.
Okay, good.
Good, honey.
So Haley shows up to the scene. Now remember, this is in 2002. She's 17 at the time. And then also talking to AC are Mike's sister and brother-in-law. They're there for a little bit more background on Mike. And we see some home videos. And this is my first LOL of the episode.
Really?
I loved Mike. Mike is my boy for this little bit right here. They got the camera going on him, and he's like setting the table for dinner. And they say like, what are we having, Mike? And he goes, this candle is for looks plus smell. That's good stuff.
Okay, isn't that typically what candles are for?
Yeah, but that's the first thing he led with. I loved it.
This candle is for looks plus smell.
Usually on like family videos, the first thing people do is like, get that camera out of my face, or like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I like that he was on it. He's like, look, we got a candle. It's not only for looks, but for smell.
So
I thought it was funny.
my thing with Mike is that I am like 100% certain that I either knew him personally, or he reminds me, he looks exactly like someone that I know.
Really?
I couldn't watch it without thinking about it. Like, I had to watch it multiple times because I was so distracted by the fact that I know this man. And I was racking my brain the whole time being like, because I Googled, obviously I've never met him.
Okay.
That's for sure. He's been, man, Jillionaire was so funny because I was like, Mom, I know that guy. Like, who does he look like? We know him. And she looked at him and she was like, I don't know. He looks like any man. No, he doesn't. He doesn't just look like any man.
Out on the counter there at the crime scene was a brochure for like a trip to Jamaica or something. And we hear from Mike's brother that they were planning a honeymoon. And so that's why there were brochures on the table and also some coffee cups. The same coffee cup was also in Mike's car. So the cops traced the coffee cups to a gas station near a casino called Sack and Fox. What?
Near a casino called Sack and Fox.
Kate, what's up with this name, dog? Sack and Fox.
Well, I know that Fox is in the name of several casinos, so maybe it was some kind of merger where it was a Native American name like Saginaw or something, and then combined with the owners of like Foxwoods casinos, and then it became Sack and Fox.
Look, I just want to call it casino sock and f***. Is that just me? Do you want to say sock and f***? Sack and fox is a funny phrase, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to give a hint to the Holt heads.
What's that?
Where I grew up, Native American names were very common.
Interesting. Okay.
The names of rivers and parks and roads.
Ooh.
And towns even.
Okay. Put that down in your Kateline, Just Who the Hell Is She book. We've got a little tidbit. So they go to the Sack and Fox. They get tapes from the casinos, and they were there. And not only that, they look like they were having a great time. Like, I kind of like seeing the footage of them in the casino, chilling out, holding hands, walking. They're playing the slots. They're doing this.
These two were in love.
Her and Mike both said, yeah, we're getting old and fat, but we're happy.
They leave the casino at like 1:30 a.m. and then they go to the gas station where they also have footage, and that's where they picked up these coffees. Now, again, I'm saying I want to party with these two because they're getting coffees at 1:30 a.m. Kurt Bunny, move!
They're going all night.
They left the gas station at like 1:30 or 2, and then there's a neighbor that reported hearing a door slam at 2:30 or 3 in the morning. Do you think... What's up? Do you think that neighbor was also up, or do you think they're going, look at them coming home again in the middle of the night,
well,
slamming doors?
If they keep Jillionaire hours, then they were up and listening to all the sounds in the neighborhood like she does. If she heard a door, she'd know. She'd remember it.
Would she take issue with it, like, not in my neighborhood, or is she just kind of like a nosy Nancy? Like,
she's a nosy Nancy. She would not be upset at all, but she takes a note of it, and I don't know why. I don't know why she cares. Maybe because she watches Dateline.
Maybe she wants to be on a Dateline.
No, she would never.
That's what it is.
She doesn't like people looking at her.
Oh, okay.
She said her wedding day was like the worst day ever for her. Because it was all about her, and she was like, that's my nightmare.
Shortly after the car slam, she thinks she hears fireworks, and because she heard a car idling as well. And she's like, I don't know, were those gunshots, fireworks? And then she wakes up to the cops on the street, and her mom's like, no, those were definitely not fireworks. Bummer. She heard them. But they do kind of sound alike, I think. This is an easy mistake to make.
They do, and it was July. So you're thinking,
yeah,
July 4th,
yeah. Where
I currently live, there are fireworks going off all summer, just randomly.
Yeah.
But not at 3 in the morning.
Okay, good call. The autopsy comes back, and we have the details on how many times they were shot, and... it was a lot. Karen got shot in the butt, and look, there are two things that are funny. It doesn't matter where I hear them. Stuff about butts and stuff about farts. And to hear AC say buttocks.
And one in the buttocks.
Was just kind of funny. Did that throw you or no?
No. Butts are funny,
you don't...
but I only think it's funny when someone says butt when you think they should say ass.
Okay.
And then they tame it down with butt, and that to me is funny.
Hold on to your butts.
There's no word AC could say to refer to that area of the body that I would not go, like, buttocks is pretty as close as you can get to not funny, but sorry, still funny.
You just like hearing her say butt.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Buttocks.
So Karen's son is called down to the station, interviews him, and he is cleared both by alibi and also because he takes a polygraph willingly. And old Detective Volley really wanted to lose points talking about his opinion of polygraphs here, right? When he's like, there's two kinds of people.
Yeah, because, there are 3 or 4 or 5 kinds of people, many kinds of people. And he said that the people who are like, yeah, let's do it right now. Let's get me marked as not a suspect. Clear my name. I'm ready. And then they're like, we take that into account. We think those people are usually innocent. No.
No.
Secondly, the other kind of person, someone who says, yeah, maybe, I don't know. To me, that's not suspicious. Because people know that they're bullshit and can do more harm than good.
Okay, what about the third type person that says, hell no, you'll never get me strapped up to that because they are bullshit and only measure anxiety, so do not even try it. Like, I wonder what his reaction is to that. Because that'd be us. Like, we wouldn't think twice about it.
No, and they're not admissible in court, so it's like, what's the point? It's for cops to get tunnel vision on one person.
Yeah. It's for them to have something in their pocket that can't be confirmed or denied, that they can say, well, they failed that poly, so, something's up with them. They failed it.
From there, does that make it easier for them to get a warrant for them, or...
Interesting. I don't know. We know they can't go to court, but can they be used to convince a judge to get a search warrant? I bet they can.
Yeah, I don't like it.
That's horse shit. Yeah. I feel like they'll be illegal at some point in the future.
I hope soon, because I'm tired of hearing about them. I don't care.
I care because I love a good soapbox. So if people want to hear why I don't like polygraphs, I'd love to tell them.
Did Haley and Chris
easily agree to a polygraph.
Yes.
They passed.
Yes.
We talk about Karen's ex-husband, who was not happy with the divorce, and we see a sole picture of him. And now this said to me, maybe this guy is a suspect. Okay, because also I could tell from the back, and this was confirmed later, that picture was from him testifying.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell from the background. Was this who you were thinking that they should have milked a little bit more?
It was one of the people I thought we could have heard more about, even if he was completely innocent from the start. Just go down that road a little bit.
But okay, so here's the one that I bet you're talking about is Haley had just moved out 2 weeks prior to the murder because she and her dad were not getting along because Mike hated her boyfriend, Chris. And he even said, my house, my rules. You know, if you're not going to follow mine, you can get out of here. And she said, okay, I'm out. And she moved in with Chris and his family. And then we find out that somebody had been forging checks from Mike's bank account. That's tied to someone that is friends with Haley's boyfriend.
Right.
This has got to be the point where you're thinking, what's up?
Yes. And one of the checks, it was like a blank check cashed after Mike died.
Was it really?
Yeah, that was what tipped them off. They were like, well, wait, there's money coming out of his account posthumously.
Yeah.
That's not how you say that word.
Posthumously? After death?
After death. And they discover that it's this friend of Chris's. And I'm thinking, okay, so let's hear about him. And in one sentence, they're like, but it wasn't him. So, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Come on, give us something.
Yeah, well, it wasn't him because he was in jail the night before. But I agree, and we'll find out later there was some unknown hair at the scene. I mean, they could have milked this a little bit.
Yes.
I agree with you there.
Yeah. And then maybe it was Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah.
But can we at least think that for like 5 minutes?
Yeah.
It's because they were like, we only have time for this trial. Ugh.
They made the right call.
Puffy coat.
All of the kids are cleared, all right? All the alibis checked out. Karen's ex-husband cleared. That leaves one person left, and that's Dana Chandler, Mike's ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about Dana Chandler.
Well, Dana and Mike had been married for about 15 years, and when they got divorced, there was kind of an ugly custody battle. She wanted the kids, and Mike wanted them just as much. And she lost. When she lost custody, she moved in with her sister back in Colorado, which was several hours away.
That says a lot, right? That straight away the dad got full custody.
Says a lot.
I mean, that means the situation is not good for mom.
My mom was found to be really unhealthy and was drinking quite a bit at the time.
Something was going on. So yeah, she moved in with her sister and stuff. And at the time of the murder, she lived in Denver, which was 500 miles away. So they're thinking, well, that's a pretty long trek, but let's keep looking into her.
Okay, so the cops said, she's 500 miles away in Colorado. So it probably isn't her because he said it's unlikely that someone would drive that far to commit a murder. And Jillionaire goes,
Yeah.
Why? Why would it be too far to commit a murder? You could drive the length of the whole country to commit a murder. Who cares?
Whoa.
I mean, she's right. What difference does it make?
She's right.
How far away they are?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, it sounds like Jillionaire would find a way if she was determined to murder.
If she needed to do a murder, she would drive Florida to Washington, Alaska to Maine. She don't care.
She does try and clean her act up, and she goes to AA, and we meet a friend of hers who wins Name of the Episode, Ann Hammer. That was her friend in AA that AC talks to. Isn't that a great name?
It's fine. I wasn't like, wow, cool.
First of all, it kind of rhymes, Ann Hammer. But also, it's like Mike Hammer detective show, and then like Sledgehammer, which is like a spoof of that detective show. Nothing?
Sledgehammer.
Hey, did you see the teaser for the new Naked Gun?
I did not.
You gotta peep it, dog. It's funny. Okay.
Really?
I was laughing my ass off.
What do you want, little one? Your ass.
So Dana comes into town to Topeka, Kansas for the funeral, and Detective Volley takes the time and says, ooh, good time, let's talk to her. And Dana agrees to talk to the detectives, but on one condition. And I know, Kate, you approved of this.
Yep.
What was it?
Her lawyer's got to be there.
She agreed to an interview, but it had to be in her lawyer's office.
Now it's time for BYB, B-roll you busted. When they're talking about her lawyer's office, they're doing B-roll of these two chairs. Do you remember this?
Nope.
They're dirty as hell. I was like,
ugh.
Where'd they get these chairs? They looked gross, okay?
Ew.
Yeah.
Her lawyer's probably like, what? My office doesn't look like that.
Yeah. They're probably regretting not wanting to talk to Dateline. They were like, if I'd known you were going to do me dirty like that, Literally.
Boom.
So Dana tells cops, oh no, I was at my apartment. I was shopping at King Super. King Super appearance. We've heard of this place before. Because I remember being like, Sooper. What? And speaking of other Datelines, she says that she had driven to Granby, Colorado. Do you remember Granby?
Yeah.
This was with the case with the mom. They have that trash rule. You have to pay by the bag. So that's why her daughter was throwing out stuff at the McDonald's in the rain.
Right.
Remember all that?
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that the lady with the triangle mouth?
It was Kate. It absolutely was.
Yeah.
Rintala was her last name. I forget her first name, but you're right.
Good mouth.
You dug her.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that interview's over. Seems like a dead end. AC kind of says dead end, which is kind of funny.
It seemed like a dead end.
It's a week after the murders. The fam is hurting. Oh, this was so sad. They have this was again. You okay?
Hang on 1 second. I just need my back is really hurting. I need to lay on poo.
Oh, nice. Now, do I have to blur Pooh's face as well, or no?
Ugh.
And we hear about at Karen and Mike's favorite drinking spot, the owner had 2 chairs for them with their favorite drinks, and AC gets kind of teary at this. I liked this too. I thought it was pretty sweet.
It was sweet.
He'd bought them both their favorite drinks and had them on the chairs.
Oh my gosh, you're
for
going to make me
them.
cry.
I know.
So Dana's going on to the detectives like, I've got receipts for all this stuff. The detective is like, well, she's got a relatively new car. Why would she go to AutoZone? Now, Dana says it's just to buy a lighter. But he looks into those receipts, and what else did she buy?
Gas cans.
Suspicious. So they got her phone records back, and it's crazy because they find out that she had not used it from 3 p.m. Saturday to 7 p.m. Sunday. So that's literally 27 hours or whatever. That's the murder time.
Mm-hmm.
So unused. So according to Dana, she had spent her time in the mountains. That's what she did this night.
Mm-hmm.
And she's driving around just for whatever. And the cops are like, all right, well, if she drove through the mountains, that means she'd be on camera going in and out of these mountains.
Yep.
And they look at that footage. No Dana in sight.
She wasn't there.
No. And AC points out, I know that because of a previous Dateline I did, which you know I friggin' love.
Yes.
When they address old episodes.
And we see old footage from that episode of them rolling up to those checkpoints in the mountains.
Oh, you think they pulled that?
Oh, yeah.
That could be B-roll from that app. Okay. I thought maybe it was the Granby app, but that was a Murph Dog app, actually. Murph Dog. And I went back and listened to the app, and we were roasting him then, too, Kate. We were giving him a hard time then, too.
We love him.
Hosted by Murph Dog. He doesn't get anything before it. He doesn't get one and only. Nothing.
No.
Boom shakalaka.
This was weird. Dana had a friend named Jeff that she asked for money to help with like her trial and stuff. And the cops talked to Jeff. And Jeff has some good stuff to say. Do you remember this? He's like, the detective's like, Jeff is asking her all the questions I wanted to ask, which was, okay, you said you were in the mountains. Well, surely you have a receipt from a hotel. No, I slept in my car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, surely you did this. And Jeff is like, she didn't have an answer for any of this.
Yeah. So it's easy to surmise that those gas cans were so that she didn't have to stop anywhere on her drive and be photographed at a gas station.
I agree 1,000%. I gotta be honest, up until like the 5th time I watched this app, I thought, without even questioning it, that she was gonna burn the house down and just decided not to do it. That was where my head was for a few watches. But you're absolutely right. It was to do this. So she wouldn't have to stop at gas stations because Volley has, like, some of his cronies, like, check all of the gas stations along the route.
All of them.
And they don't find a single thing except for at one place. No gas purchased, but somebody there was like, I'm 70% sure that I saw that woman in there. Which is pretty funny, right?
It is,
like,
but
she had it planned.
I don't know that I would have trusted that witness, because if she knew enough to take those gas cans so that she wouldn't have to stop somewhere, why would she then stop somewhere and go in and interact with
She gotta
somebody?
go to the bathroom.
She would do that in her car.
I mean, yeah, because according to her, she slept in her car.
Yeah, she would know better than to do that.
Right. Well,
If she's bringing gas cans, she's bringing a pea can as well. And so, and then the person wasn't 100% certain.
okay, you're in luck because there's a reason why they don't use that witness.
But as a juror, I don't know that I would have put a lot of weight on that witness anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, because also they don't have DNA, they don't have a murder weapon, so there's a lot of stuff that they do not have. But even with that, Dana is the main suspect. Okay, this was wild. This is when we hear more stuff about, hey, Dana is crazy. Okay. And it was like specific things where she'd make scenes at plays or like soccer games. She's texting her daughter Haley like sex acts Mike is doing with Karen. Wasn't this weird?
We get the sense that Dana is a little bat, if you will.
He's telling you that she's bats.
She definitely wants Mike back. She wants, at one point actually, she comes into the house, maybe breaks in. Mike comes home and finds her sitting there, and she says, "We should get back together." And he's like, "What the f-?"
Yeah, she has a cup of coffee, and she's like, no, wait, listen up. Our kids are the right age. They really need their parents, so we should probably give this another try.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And
That's bomb.
And she would come around all the time. Even though she was living in Colorado, she would just show up in Topeka and like haunting them.
Absolutely, because this was the next huge laugh. This was a belly laugh for me. Is when his sister and her husband were staying over one night. They're like, oh, we see a light on outside. It's like 1 a.m. So they peek through the blinds. And what do they see? But Dana jumping on the trampoline, laughing hysterically. What?
She's not well. You can see why she lost custody.
We opened the blinds, and it was Dana jumping on the trampoline. And then she just started laughing hysterically.
I mean, that is so nuts. At first, I thought it was when they were still together, and I was like, don't judge her. She owns that trampoline. Let her jump when she wants. But when I found out she didn't live there...
She drove 500 miles to jump on that trampoline in the middle of the night and laugh.
That would be scary. That would scare the hell out of me.
That's scary. That's scary. And my mom was like, why wouldn't he get a restraining order? And I was like, Mom, when has that ever actually done anything?
Yeah. Doesn't do...
If anything, it makes the person more angry.
Yeah, that's true. Her driving through the mountains and stuff and slept in her car, there were forest fires that night. Mm-hmm. So another good reason why she probably didn't sleep in her car, like she said.
Yeah, her friend was like, oh, were the fires really bad where you were? Could you see them?
Yeah.
She's like,
yeah. And even Mike himself, R.I.P. Mike Sisco, he did what we see a lot, unfortunately, is he called it. Is he told his brother, basically, like, when Dana finds out that I'm going to marry Karen, it's going to hit the fan.
And if I die, make sure my kids are taken care of.
Yeah, that was like, weeks before.
When Dana finds out that Karen and he were going to marry, that's going to be the trigger.
So now, Volley is ready to take this to the DA, but this DA says, no dice, not enough for a case. Now, Kate, you probably agree with this. Are you agreeing with this motion right now? We don't have enough.
There's nothing. There's no murder weapon. There's no DNA.
Yeah.
There's no proof that she was in Topeka.
Months would turn into years.
So now years start to pass, and what also happens is the sole witness they have that picked her out of a picture lineup friggin' dies. That gas station witness dies. I really got to find out when you can record stuff and use that forever, and why don't they do it every time?
Oh, yeah. They could have had an official interview with that witness and used that as evidence.
But the judge specifically said it could not be entered because that witness was dead. But remember that witness for later. Whole heads. Karen's dad calls bullshit to Volley and is like, what's going on? Is anything going to happen? And Volley's like, look, dude, I got 12 more years on the force, okay? No one else is going to get this case, and I'm going to solve it. We'll find out that 2 years later he was transferred and became sergeant, okay?
Uh-huh.
So that kind of fell apart. But I got to give it to Volley. He did not let this case go, as we'll see.
That's like that episode a couple weeks ago. Hey, one question. Are you going to f*** me?
Yeah.
I said, oh, really? Well, that's great. Let me ask you a question. What are you going to do? You're going to get my case for 3, 4, 5 months, a year, and then move up?
That guy ruled too. That guy was great.
Loved him.
All right, so with nothing cooking, daughter Haley, as AC says, puts on her detective hat.
You put your detective hat on.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, this is in 2005, and she starts to record her phone calls with her mom, Dana, because she's a little suspicious of her.
She knows it's her.
How'd you like these recordings?
I felt like she did a good job because she wasn't just coming out and asking her questions point blank. It was more like, please tell them the answer to this question so that they can move on to a different suspect. They'll clear your name if you just tell them the truth about the gas cans and she listed all the things she knew about, which I thought was interesting. How did she know about all that stuff?
Or the gas cans?
The gas cans and also all of the timelines that weren't matching up. Were the cops telling her everything that they were finding in their investigation? That seems like stuff that people outside of the department wouldn't know.
It sounds like they did at least tell her the gas can thing, because she does specifically say who were those gas cans for. So you're right. I mean, maybe they did tell her, but this was good because this is like, I mean, if Haley wasn't sure before, she is now, because her mom is like, that was for a friend in AA. I don't remember her name, though.
Yeah. Can you get this woman from AA to tell the cops?
Yeah, that's all you need.
Well, I could, but I don't know who she is. Okay.
What a guilty SOB she was on this phone call, because she's like, everything you're asking, the cops have this information. I already answered it for them. Okay, Mom. Like I said, this isn't helping your case.
No, not at all.
Karen, I have no idea. No, and I wish that I would have gotten the name, but I didn't.
She's like, if I say one thing that contradicts another, then that won't look good. It's like, you're correct, Dana. That will look like you're lying, because you are lying.
Because you're a liar.
Oh, and I gotta say, at this point, Haley joins forces with Volley, telling him about these recorded calls. She took 6 calls over 4 years. And instantly I was going, well, you can't use these because she was recording without the other person's consent. But I looked it up. In Kansas, it's one-party consent rule. So only one half of the conversation has to know that it's being recorded, and it's okay.
But was Dana in Kansas?
With that wrinkle. Good call. But if the call's coming from Kansas, maybe that's why?
I don't know. They hadn't arrested her yet at this point, so she was still in Colorado.
Yeah, I wonder, I didn't look if Colorado, it's a lot of states have one party consent, so I'll double check on that, because that's interesting. I wonder if that matters too.
But she was adamant about how the cops did not ask her to do this. She did it all on her own and then brought the recordings to them, and they were like, hot dog.
Yeah, and they say, okay, now let's do our fave. Let's get it in person. So they do some fun detective stuff that doesn't really work out.
No.
They give her a key fob with a microphone in it.
The sound quality was awful. Just useless. I mean, of course it was.
Yeah.
You go to a loud restaurant and you put it in the middle of the two of you on a table, it's going to pick up everything and nothing.
I agree. If I was Haley, I'd be like, sounds like I should have used my recording software. Because her phone calls were clear enough. How'd she do that back in the day? Record both sides like that? I don't know.
How did she do that? And speaking of it being back in the day, you know, Dana, her phone being shut off for that whole time, and this is 2002?
Yeah.
Back then, you know, I never had my cell phone on back then.
I didn't get one until 2003.
I got one in 99, and I only used it when I needed to use it. And it was off if I wasn't using it. Because why would it even be on? Because there were no calls coming in, and cell phones couldn't do anything else but make calls. So if you're not physically making a call, why have it on at all? So to me, I was like, well, that isn't a big deal that her phone was off. And she even said on those phone calls with her daughter, she's like, well, yeah, it was off. I mean, I don't know. It's just a cell phone. Like, who cares? Like, they weren't triangulating locations yet using pings and stuff. So
right. Kate, it sounds like you are Dana's defense attorney, because that's what they said at the trial. And I didn't even think of it until then. You're right. It's kind of like cell phones were different in 02.
They were. They were not what they are. And I do think that was a great point for her attorney to make.
Yeah.
And we'll find out that she maybe didn't think that her attorneys were making great points.
Nope. But she's got the solution. Don't you worry about that. She knows just what to do.
Puffy coat.
Okay, so in 07, 2 years after he said, I'll be here for 12 years, Volley gets transferred. However, in 2008, there's a new DA campaigning. And Volley's talking to him, and he's like, you know what? If you get elected, dude, I got this case that you should take a look at. And the DA says, I'm on it. He gets elected, starts a cold case department, and this is the first case that they look at. This is pretty cool.
We love a cold case department.
You know we do. And they spend 2 years on it. And at this point, they're like, now we got enough. And they talk to the fam. They're like, hey, this was kind of cool of them, because they don't need to do this either. They're like, fam, do you think we're going to take it to trial now? Are you ready for this? And they said, yep, let's do it. Let's do it.
Bring it on.
So 2011, Dana's now living in Oklahoma. They arrest her in a dope way with guns pointed. Like they pull her over with like 4 cars. We saw like stills of it.
She bring out all the guns.
Absolutely.
This woman's crazy.
Authorities caught up with her in a parking lot and arrested her with guns drawn.
So March 2012, trial starts, Topeka, Kansas. Among other things, the prosecutor says that Mike was afraid for his life because of Dana and had a protection order against her. That's one of the things he says. Now, remember that? Remember that protection order. And actually, like this thing goes quick. 90 minutes, the jury's done. They're going, she's guilty, 2 life sentences, throw away the key. So right now, it kind of sounds like we're good.
No.
2014, the detective retires. It's now 2018. Dana's been in jail, for 6 years. So it sounds like everything's good to go. She's going to rot away in jail. But then what happens?
She gets out because they find that the prosecutor lied. Mike did not have a protection order against Dana. And that was...
And the prosecutor knew it. I don't get this. I get why...
I don't get it.
It was overturned straight away. Now they got to do a new trial. Was this prosecutor fired? Like, what went on here?
Give us some more details on that. Yeah, what happened? And the fact that that's just... I mean, she's still in prison, but now she gets to do a second trial.
Right. And by the time this happens, there's a third DA on this case that talks to AC. And so now it's time for another trial. This trial doesn't start till August of 2022. Dana has some people in her corner, though, including this cool guy who I think is just misled. He's like the head of an innocence project because he himself was wrongfully accused. Tell us about this guy.
Yes. This guy, he came across Dana's case and he knew he had to take it on. He believed her. He fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And I think to this day, he still believes it. I don't know. She must be so good at manipulation to have people fooled or in her corner at all. But he was convinced that she was innocent. And he was right in that there wasn't really any evidence. But she's guilty.
Yeah. This guy could turn a phrase, and he does it twice. The first time is AC goes, so there was no smoking gun. And he goes, forget a smoking gun.
It could just be a water pistol. Anything.
Nailed it. That's a good line, dude. But that was great.
Nice.
Okay, so the trial begins, and Dana's old friend Ann Hammer, who now believes that Dana did do it, she testifies that a month before the murder, Dana had admitted to her that she had broken into Mike's house, waited for him to come home, didn't, and then went and waited outside Karen's house for them to get home and didn't. So this is basically a dry run for the murder.
Yeah.
Not looking good.
Not looking good. That combined with the trampoline incident and the sitting in the dark with coffee telling Mike she wants to get back together, she keeps breaking into places.
Yeah. The jury, though, they're not as convinced because they take almost a week and they come back and they say, sorry, Judge, we can't do it. Hung jury.
Yeah.
And so now...
It's probably because there's no evidence, and this time they weren't told that Mike had a restraining order.
True. Now they gotta fire up a third trial, but she posts bond, so she's out during this point. And this trial doesn't happen until February of 2025. That's this year.
And her daughter is terrified that she is out because she had already testified against her twice. And she's like, I have a family of my own. I have a husband. I have kids. We don't know what she could do. We're so scared.
Yeah, and I like that AC was like, oh, because she'll harm you. And she's like, yeah, but also that she'll just want to have a relationship with her kids. That can't happen either. I was like, hey, lady.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I felt that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Innocence guy, though, still behind Dana. And they've got a great lawyer. He's like, don't worry, juries love this guy.
I said, Tom is likable. I said, if he gets in front of a jury, they're going to like him.
He's so good at his job, Dana. Don't you worry about it. And Dana says, okay, listen, thanks for having my back. Just one quick thing before the trial starts. I'm going to go ahead and defend myself.
She fired her attorneys. Dana would represent herself.
That's such a textbook narcissist move.
Yeah.
It's like, think of all of the people that you know of who have defended themselves in court, and they're all psychos.
Yeah. I mean, I would go as far to saying it only works on Law and Order. Has there ever been a time where someone defended themselves and it worked out in their favor? I think no.
No.
This is instant shot in the foot. You're done.
Instant, you're guilty.
You're done.
But in her mind, she is so amazing.
Yeah.
That she's like, no, they just haven't really seen me yet. If they can see me at work defending myself and putting myself on the stand and cross-examining the cops who tried to put me away,
yeah,
they'll know that I'm innocent. Except you're not, Dana.
Yeah, you're not. Not only you're not innocent, you're also not a lawyer.
No.
And that becomes painfully clear at this comedy of errors. And this is where I'm saying bring it on, more trial footage. Because all this stuff was hysterical. Poor Innocence guy is like, I could just sit there and watch. And he describes it later. He says, this is his other turn of phrase. He goes,
it's like you sitting on the shoreline and you're watching someone drown. You throw them a life preserve and they throw it back. It was just painful.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Because she kicks it right off the bat by calling herself to the stand.
And she's like, "Hi, jurors. I'm Dana."
State your name. Okay, Dana.
Start by stating my name. My name is Dana Chandler. I, as everyone knows, have been accused of double homicide.
Oh my God, I fucking loved it.
You know, she just watched a lot of Law and Order.
Yeah.
I mean, she was out. She had plenty of time to prepare.
You're right.
By watching law dramas. Because when she was in prison, she just had, sometimes you hear about prisoners, they hit the books, they learn how to conduct themselves in court. But
we've seen it.
This was very much, she just watched a bunch of Law and Order.
Yeah. And she messes up so many times that they even have like a little montage of it, because there's a part where she like is complaining about her laptop. She's like, every time I move the battery drains. Like, that doesn't look good.
As Dana moved around the courtroom, she didn't always come across like a polished attorney. She struggled with her computer.
As soon as I unplug it, it starts draining. It's okay.
One time she stops things dead to go put on her puffy coat. There's the puffy coat, Kate. She was a little chilly, and we see her in the puffy coat.
Stopped testimony to put on her puffy coat.
And even there's a part when she's on the stand asking herself questions where she flips out because Dateline's there.
Oh yeah, she did not like the cameras being in the back of the courtroom, and she singled them out and just had a whole tantrum about it. And I feel like the judge is thinking, shut up.
Yeah. Well, there is one point where the judge does say, hey, stop talking.
She tested the judge's patience.
Mr. Chandler, I'm going to ask you to stop talking right now unless you really have something, you have a motion to make.
And she goes, I'm just exercising my right to be heard. Textbook narcissist. I mean, that's what this is so much, Kate, that you're 100% right.
Oh, yeah.
It's like...
and you can... I know that this is... She didn't have googly eyes, but you can tell by looking at her that she's guilty.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I don't know if we're biased because we know it. That's why when I was thinking of just watching her walk around the courtroom, I was just kind of like, this lady's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
She's crazy. Everybody's lying. She brings up those friends that saw her jumping on the trampoline, and she's like, oh, it's true that you were diagnosed as bipolar, right? And the friend's like, no. That's not true.
No, I've
That's
never
not true
been
at all.
diagnosed as bipolar, and even if I had, you were on that trampoline.
Yeah. Yeah, Dana, can you confirm or deny you were on that trampoline that night? What was so funny? Now we see something that we see all the time in movies and stuff, and this I've loved, is that while she's up there defending herself, while she's on the stand, Dana brings up the witness that ID'd her in the picture lineup. So because she mentioned that witness who is dead, and the judge said you cannot bring this person up, okay? Because Dana introduced it, now everybody else it's fair game for.
Yeah.
So now they can talk about this witness. This was so awesome. I love this.
So the cops get up there on the stand and they just go on and on about this witness.
Yeah, Volley's even like, this is something that hasn't been brought up, but here's her name and where she's from. Jurors, I'm making eye contact with you, okay? It's like, listen up, jurors. Okay, this is the good stuff.
Dude, Dana's a dumbass.
So stupid.
We also have, and it hasn't been mentioned yet, a Patty Williams and Wakini.
And when she gets up there to get cross-examined, the prosecutors just own her straight up. And you know how much I love when prosecutors say, yes or no, please. Yes or no, please.
Mm-hmm.
You know I love that. And this was happening left and right. I mean, they were just owning her. It was so good. She goes, she's like, Dana, is it true that you don't like the law when it applies to you? Like asking questions like that. And then she doesn't say yes or no. And she goes, you're trying to corral me into this box of yes or no, and I won't do it.
Ms. Chandler, it is a yes or no.
I'm not going to be corralled into this little box of yes or no, Mr. Kid.
And the prosecutor's like, keep talking.
You're just digging a hole.
Keep talking. Whole trial painful to watch. And, of course, she's found guilty. So her ass is back in prison, I assume, until she dies.
Good.
Good riddance, Dana. I mean, you really had a shot, almost. I mean, if she had just let a real lawyer take that third trial...
She could have gotten off.
Honestly, I could see this doing a plea deal because she had already spent like a decade in prison or so many years. I could see them making a deal because they're like, we don't have this, we don't have that. But when she says, I'm going to defend myself, the prosecutor's like, well, certainly no deals are happening now.
Mm-mm.
Is it time for those lists?
I think it's time for those lists.
Hit me.
Kate's unnamed list. You know what? I am going to say it's a small town. the kind of town where things like this just don't happen. Because the cops said when things like this happen, they're murder-suicides. Or just suicides.
Good call.
And everybody's doors are unlocked.
Wow.
How else does Dana keep getting into everybody's house?
And didn't lock the door, which in Southwest Topeka, that's probably not that unusual.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of people would probably do that.
Good point. Okay, so it's a small town. All right.
I have to be less stingy about that list item. So, small town.
Fair. Count it. What else you got?
We had a needle in a haystack reference.
Thank God. That sounds way before Kate. It happened super early.
It was a needle in a haystack.
When it happened, I went boom, and Jillian Eyre was like, huh? She doesn't listen to the pod.
Nope.
She had no idea.
Uh-uh.
And that's it for my list.
On to Kurt's Kick-Ass List.
Kick-ass list.
AC talking about how she had been in Colorado before for a previous Dateline. Dateline mention on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I covered a murder there for Dateline.
This one was weird, okay? You know how much I love a movie reference. And AC has one, but I'm not sure it fits. AC goes, boy, this sounds a lot like that movie Fatal Attraction, when they're talking about how crazy Dana is.
Yes.
And I'm like, it's the reverse, though, in that movie. It's like he has a fling with a woman that goes nuts. It's not the wife that...
Yeah.
So you're with me, right? Like, it's a little shaky.
I'm with you. She brought that up, and I thought, okay, it is fatal.
That's right.
Fatal Attraction really comes to mind.
Got one more. And it's another Dateline mention. Her losing her mind specifically talking about the Dateline cameras on trial. I mean, that's on my list, 1,000%.
Yeah, it's Dateline.
And she complained about our cameras.
I'm sitting here giving my life story with that camera pointing to me is so obnoxious to me.
We haven't heard someone bitch this much about Dateline since what's-his-nuts in jail, the maestro, Charlie Adelson, with the mom who was on Wheel of Fortune.
Right.
He said Dateline 30 times in those phone calls.
It was like sitting in the courtroom and watching Dateline.
So this, loved it. I think that's it. What, you got anything else in this bad boy?
No, nothing else.
All right, I would encourage the whole head to check out our video version of the podcast on YouTube. Go check it out for videos, and then also search that on Patreon, where we're talking about non-Dateline stuff. And on that note, I'm Kurt Money.
I'm Kateline.
I'm Lester Holt. For all of us, I'm Lester Holt. Good night.
Buttocks.